Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English Pod. My name is Marco.
And my name is Catherine. So, Marco, today we're talking about rent and housing.
Right, we're actually going to be moving. We're going to be going to a new apartment or a new house. And so we're going to look at all the words related to this because sometimes it can be a real hassle, right? It can be really difficult.
Absolutely. Well, you love moving, right? You were telling me how much you love moving your stuff and negotiating a new lease.
Well, I like the negotiation of the lease, but not the moving aspect.
I don't think anyone likes moving.
Actually, I do like it at times because then you can just throw away so many things that you have no need for and you wouldn't throw away unless you moved.
So let's go check out today's dialogue to find out what happens to the characters.
Okay, that's fine. Bye.
What happened?
That's it. My lease is up. I have to move.
What? Why? Can't you renew it?
The owner apparently is selling this place to make way for the construction of a parking lot.
Well, I can help you pack. We should start looking for a new place for you ASAP.
I think I might move in with my parents for a couple of months until I can find something. You know how hard it is to find a decent place around here. I'm gonna have to put most of my stuff in storage for a while.
Well, let me know if there's anything I can do to help out.
Actually, would you mind looking after my pet tarantula and snake for a couple of weeks?
Sure.
All right, we're back. So, well, it's not much of a big deal. I guess if you have your parents nearby, you can just move back in with your parents.
Easier said than done.
True. We'll get to that in a little bit, but let's take a look at the words that are used today in Language Takeaway.
Language takeaway.
All right, so this first one is an important one because generally when you're looking for a house or an apartment, there are two things you can do. You can buy a house or you can lease a house or apartment. So lease here, Marco.
It's basically to rent, right? It's a contract where you agree to pay a monthly or a quarterly fee for using that house or apartment.
So do you own your apartment or do you lease it?
No, mine, I lease.
Yeah,
I am
I do
not a
too.
homeowner yet.
Right. So owning a home is a lot more expensive at one kind of period where you have to just pay in and you have
Right.
maybe a mortgage. But leasing is just a monthly fee, like you said.
So in this case, they had to leave because their lease was expired.
Exactly. So you can, at the end of a lease, do one of two things. You can stop and you can find a new apartment or you can renew your lease.
All right, and that's our next word. To renew your lease basically means to
continue.
continue.
And this is actually a good word because it can be used with any contract because really a lease is a kind of contract. And so I can say I renewed my job contract.
Or maybe a magazine subscription.
Yeah,
You
so-
renewed your magazine subscription.
It's a way of saying that you've committed to paying for the next 6 months or 1 year.
Okay. Well, and after that, as we said, the person decided to move in with the parents. So move in.
Move in, well, we can say he moved his car. He put it in a different place. But to move in is actually to change houses or to change apartments. And you're literally moving your things in, you're moving your clothes in, you're moving into a new home. So you're living in a new place.
So in this case, this person is going to live with the parents. Move in. All right. And our next word is when you have to move, you have to pack.
Okay, so you can pack a lot of things. In this case, you're packing a box with all of your belongings, your books and your pillows and all that. But you can also pack a suitcase or you can pack luggage. So packing is putting things into something so that you can move them.
So you can carry them or take them somewhere.
Exactly.
So in this case, you have to pack your things, put them in boxes to take them to your new home. And our last word is an acronym when you said ASAP.
All right, snap. Come on, ASAP, Marco.
ASAP.
Describe this for us quickly.
All right. So ASAP is an acronym for as soon as possible.
Okay, so you often see this in the office on envelopes or emails.
Right.
So please respond ASAP, ASAP. This means please respond right away.
As soon as you can, as soon as possible. All right, so 5 great words that we've just taken a look at. Let's listen to our dialogue again, and we'll be right back.
Okay, that's fine. Bye.
What happened?
That's it. My lease is up. I have to move.
What? Why? Can't you renew it?
The owner apparently is selling this place to make way for the construction of a parking lot.
Well, I can help you pack. We should start looking for a new place for you ASAP.
I think I might move in with my parents for a couple of months until I can find something. You know how hard it is to find a decent place around here. I'm going to have to put most of my stuff in storage for a while.
Well, let me know if there's anything I can do to help out.
Actually, would you mind looking after my pet tarantula and snake for a couple of weeks?
Sure.
All right, we're back and we have a couple of different phrases for you. So let's look at those now in Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
Our first one's a little bit unusual. We heard the phrase, my lease is up. So, Marco, let's talk about this phrase, to be up.
All right, so if something is up, as in this case, the lease, it means it's expired, it's finished, right?
So it's over.
It's over.
You can also say, our time is up.
Right.
If we have a meeting. So that's all the time I have. Time to go away.
Time is up. Very good. So it's always related to time or maybe a contract, as in this case, or your lease is up.
So it means over or finished.
All right, so moving on to our second phrase.
To make way for. All right, so this is a great one. This often makes me think of kings and queens in the old days. They say, make way for the king. So you have to
Get out of the way.
Yeah, get out of the way or to clear some space for them to move because there's too much stuff in the way. And so in this case, the owner of the apartment where the guy was living in is trying to make some space or make way for a parking lot.
Right, so he's basically going to sell the building or house and build a parking lot instead. So they are making way for the new parking lot.
They're clearing space. And this is actually really sad because my childhood home, they destroyed to make way for a larger, ugly, big
Building?
house. Yeah.
Really? See, it happens all the time. Now they're making way for malls and big buildings, and all of our little houses are destroyed. And, well, moving on to our last phrase, the person asked the friend if he would mind looking after the pet snake and tarantula.
I would mind.
You don't like snakes or tarantulas?
Well, I don't mind them as long as I don't live with them.
So would you mind? This is a nice way to start a sentence if you want to ask for a favor, right?
Exactly. So here's an alternative. Hey, Marco, can you do this for me?
I could, maybe.
I could say, Marco, would you mind doing this for me?
It's more polite.
It is more polite and it's a little bit gentler. Yeah.
So it's
And so-
nice. It's a nice way of asking someone for a favor.
Exactly. And that's why this is funny because the favor is not like, would you mind watching my kitty? The favor is, would you mind watching my poisonous pets?
Right. All right. So would you mind it? But in the end, the person agreed. So it works, right?
It does work. So would you mind, so listeners, would you mind listening to today's dialogue one more time at its normal speed before we come back to you and talk more about renting an apartment?
Okay, that's fine. Bye.
What happened?
That's it. My lease is up. I have to move.
What? Why? Can't you renew it?
The owner apparently is selling this place to make way for the construction of a parking lot.
Well, I can help you pack. We should start looking for a new place for you ASAP.
I think I might move in with my parents for a couple of months until I can find something. You know how hard it is to find a decent place around here. I'm going to have to put most of my stuff in storage for a while.
Well, let me know if there's anything I can do to help out.
Actually, would you mind looking after my pet tarantula and snake for a couple of weeks?
Sure.
All right, so moving in now, you have different stages in your life, right? When you move out, for example, you move out of your parents' home and you live on your own. And then maybe, like in this case, you would move back in with your parents. How do you see that happening?
I see it very often. My brother just moved back in with my parents.
Really?
Yeah, I think that it depends on the person, honestly. I mean, especially because the economy has really been suffering for the last year. A lot of people are doing this because, you know, in a lot of cities in America, you can spend $1,000 to $2,000 a month for an apartment to rent.
Right.
And that's a small apartment or a shared apartment. And so I understand this is it's a better option now than it was before because everyone wants independence.
Right.
But sometimes you just can't afford it.
Exactly. And it's a cultural thing because some people move out of their parents' home maybe for college. It's very common in the U.S.
Absolutely.
to study in another city or another state, right? And but then maybe coming back home and moving in with your parents. Or in other cultures, maybe they don't move out at all. Maybe they only move out once they're married.
Exactly. So a lot of people in China, I think in Shanghai specifically, don't move out of their parents' home until they're going to get married.
Right. Well, and it does make sense in many big metropolis because, as you say, rent is expensive. Living on your own is expensive. And, well, you don't have anyone to share those costs with, like gas, water, electricity, even food, right? It's cheaper
Exactly.
among more people.
And not to mention a little bit scary living on your own for the first time.
It is a little bit scary. What about having somebody move in with you? Maybe a roommate or girlfriend or boyfriend?
Ooh, that's always the big step.
The big commitment.
A big commitment. You're in a relationship and you ask your partner to move in with you. It's the step before marriage, I guess.
Wow. There's nothing before that? Nothing before marriage?
No.
That's pretty much it.
You tell me. I don't know.
All right. That's all the time we have for today. But be sure to come to our website, englishpod.com. If you have any questions or any comments about this topic, we would be glad to have your input on it. And we'll see you guys there.
And if you have any suggestions for the step before marriage, please let us know because we're in the dark on this one. So until next time.
All right.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word. A contract granting use of property.
Lease.
To cause something to continue to be effective.
Renew.
Wrap up.
Pack.
To put articles in a case or container for moving.
Pack.
A building or an area.
Place.
A space for storing goods.
Storage.
Take care of.
Look after.
To create space for something else.
Make way for.
As soon as possible.
ASAP.
Good.
Decent.
Take care of.
Look after.
Let's try that faster. Wrap up.
Pack.
Good.
Decent.
As soon as possible.
ASAP.
A contract granting use of property.
Lease.
Take care of.
Look after.
To put articles in a case or container for moving.
Pack.
To create space for something else.
Make way for.
Take care of.
Look after.
To cause something to continue to be effective.
Renew.
A building or an area.
Place.
A space for storing goods.
Storage.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Lease. We are only leasing the apartment for 1 year. Lease. I didn't buy the car. It's a lease vehicle. Lease. According to your lease, you will have to pay a fine for destruction of property. Make way for. Make way for the king. Make way for. We'd better make way for that ambulance. Make way for. The company reduced its stock to make way for the new products. ASAP. I want you to clean up this mess ASAP. ASAP. Get back to me ASAP about the details of the deal. ASAP. If we don't finish this project ASAP, we could be fired. Decent. The city government was full of decent, hard-working people. Decent. The car is decent enough. It gets me from point A to point B. Decent. This is a matter of common decency. You should really apologize for your behavior. Look after. We're looking after my friend's dog this week. Look after. Can you look after my daughter while I'm away? Look after. I put Mary in charge of looking after the Jones account.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another lesson here at English Pod. My name is Marco.
And my name is Catherine. So, Marco, what are we talking about today?
Today, we are taking a look at a guy who is a little bit too afraid of people in general.
There's a good word for this in English, someone who's almost too afraid all the time, someone who is overly cautious. We call this person paranoid.
Okay, so if you are paranoid, you think that everyone is wants to hurt you or that everyone is out to get
Wait,
you.
did you hear that?
That's
No, did you hear that?
No, I didn't.
Someone at the door. So, Marco, can you check the... Okay, that's paranoid. You know, you're always hearing voices and noises and things.
Yeah, so a paranoid, somebody that is paranoid. All right, so why don't we listen to this dialogue for the first time and see what this person is all paranoid about.
There it is again.
Dan, dude, you have to come over to my house right now.
Is everything okay?
Just get over here. Come in. Quickly.
So, since when is your house a bank?
What do you mean?
I mean, what's up with the 4 locks and iron bars on your windows?
Security, Dan! Security! You can never be too safe, you know. A lot of sickos out there. Just the other day, they caught that peeping Tom, red-handed. Had a high-power telescope and binoculars by his window.
What's the matter with you? Why are you acting all paranoid?
Paranoid? I'm not paranoid! I'm cautious! You see, Dan, we have to be on guard at all times. People just invade your privacy as if they knew you. Telemarketers, solicitors, even your bank. They have way too much information. I like to keep everything on a need-to-know basis.
Okay. Well, what did you want to see me about?
You're being watched! Be careful, Dan. Be careful.
All right, we're back. So, I think this guy is a little bit too cautious.
I would have to agree with you, and I would go so far as to call him paranoid. But there's a lot of great stuff in this dialogue that we can use in a lot of different situations. So let's take a look at some of these new words in today's language takeaway.
Language takeaway.
All right, the first word on language takeaway today is sicko.
Sicko is also the name of a movie that was a documentary famous in America by Michael Moore, actually.
Right.
But sicko, in this context, means someone who is a bit weird in a bad way.
So if you tell somebody you're sick, but like in that tone, right? You're saying you're sick. You're a sick person.
You're gross.
Right. You're saying you're gross.
Or people who have inappropriate humor, who make jokes about not so nice things.
Right.
Yeah, they're sick. But in this case, sickos are people who maybe like to hurt other people, or people who are a little bit crazy, people who are not normal.
So it's not a nice way of calling someone crazy, right? If you say, oh, he's a sicko, it's not really nice.
Not at all. It's a way of saying that you're almost scared of this person because they're kind of weird and almost they have problems.
All right, so sicko. Moving on to our next word, we saw that the guy was afraid of...
Telemarketers.
Exactly. So what are these guys?
Well, we've got two words being put together here, tele and market. So tele...
Like telephone.
Telephone, over communication. So they're not in person. They're people who call you up and market things. They try to sell you stuff over the phone.
So this is very common. You get a phone call on your cell phone and they ask you if you're happy with your long distance calling plan, or if you need new TV cable or something like that.
And they always call during dinner or late at night, which drives me nuts.
Exactly.
So these are telemarketers. These are people who call you trying to sell things to you.
And very similar to these is a solicitors.
Exactly. But the big difference here with solicitors and telemarketers is that solicitors actually go to your house. They knock on your door.
So they're also called door-to-door salesmen or saleswomen.
That's right. So door-to-door salesmen, they go from door to door trying to sell things. But in this case, a solicitor is someone who comes to your house to try to get you to do something, to buy something.
All right, very good. And moving on to our next word, we have a peeping Tom.
That's right. We heard this a little bit earlier in the dialogue, and a peeping Tom is, again, a negative thing to say about someone. A peeping Tom, well, the word peep means to look, but kind of
Quick
like...
look.
Yeah, it's a quick look. So peeping Tom is a person who spies on other people.
Okay, so a synonym of a peeping Tom would be a voyeur.
A voyeur. So someone who... without getting caught, tries to look at other people while they're in their homes. And so it's really bad because it's usually inappropriate. It's usually people who are watching women get undressed or...
Right.
Yeah.
So a peeping Tom is just an informal way of saying a voyeur, or somebody who is spying on people. So those are the words for today in language takeaway. Let's listen to our dialogue again, and then we'll be right back.
Dan, dude, you have to come over to my house right now.
Is everything okay?
Just get over here. Come in. Quickly.
So, since when is your house a bank?
What do you mean?
I mean, what's up with the 4 locks and iron bars on your windows?
Security, Dan! Security! You can never be too safe, you know. A lot of sickos out there. Just the other day, they caught that peeping Tom red-handed. Had a high-power telescope and binoculars by his window.
What's the matter with you? Why are you acting all paranoid?
Paranoid? I'm not paranoid! I'm cautious! You see, Dan, we have to be on guard at all time. People just invade your privacy as if they knew you. Telemarketers, solicitors, even your bank. They have way too much information. I like to keep everything on a need-to-know basis.
Okay. Well, what did you want to see me about?
You're being watched! Be careful, Dan. Be careful.
Now we're back, and we had some interesting phrases in the dialogue. The first one being, you can never be too safe.
Fluency builder.
All right, so this is a common mom phrase. You often hear mothers say this when they're sending their kids off to school or whatever. They say, don't talk to strangers, and the kid says, well, why not? You can never be too safe, right? It's good to err on the side of caution.
So it's okay to be extra safe or extra cautious, just in case.
Exactly. You never know what's going to happen, so it's better to be cautious than not. And that's what this person's saying. He's saying, well, security, it's important. You can never be too safe. You never know what might happen.
Is there another way that we can combine it? Like, you can never be too careful?
Exactly.
Basically the same thing.
Same thing, yeah.
All right. What's our next phrase?
Our next phrase is about this peeping Tom, this person that they caught They caught him red-handed.
We caught you red-handed.
Or he's been caught red-handed.
So what does that mean?
It's a very colorful phrase, and I don't just mean that because we're calling him red-handed, but to catch red-handed means to catch someone while they're doing something wrong. So if I see you breaking into someone's house and I say, Marco, stop! I'm catching you! Stop now! I just caught you red-handed.
You saw me doing the act.
Exactly.
And another way of saying this is you caught him with his hand in the cookie jar.
Okay, and this is another great phrase. You can imagine a child who sees the cookies in a very special jar on the counter in the kitchen. And mom says, don't eat the cookies. Well, the child goes into the kitchen and sees the cookies and opens the jar and puts his hand in the jar. And then mom comes and says, caught you. That's a boy with his hand or a child with their hand in the cookie jar.
So it's the same thing. I can say, I caught you with your hand in the cookie jar.
Or you were caught red-handed.
All right. And our last phrase for today is, you are on a need-to-know basis.
All right. This is a great one. This is often said in spy movies,
Yeah.
I think. So we say you're on a need-to-know basis. That means that if you really need to know something, then I will tell you.
Right.
But if not, I won't.
So you only have the information that is necessary, no more or less, right? You're on a need-to-know basis.
Right. So I say, tell me, Marco, tell me what happened. I want to know.
Right? And I can say, no, you're on a need-to-know basis and you don't need to know this. All right. So a need-to-know basis, as you say, very popular among spy movies and government movies and stuff like that.
Conspiracy movies.
Yeah. All right. So let's listen to this dialogue for the very last time and we'll be right back.
Dan, dude, you have to come over to my house right now.
Is everything okay?
Just get over here. Come in. Quickly.
So, since when is your house a bank?
What do you mean?
I mean, what's up with the 4 locks and iron bars on your windows?
Security, Dan! Security! You can never be too safe, you know. A lot of sickos out there. Just the other day, they caught that peeping Tom red-handed. Had a high-power telescope and binoculars by his window.
What's the matter with you? Why are you acting all paranoid?
Paranoid? I'm not paranoid! I'm cautious! You see, Dan, we have to be on guard at all times. People just invade your privacy as if they knew you. Telemarketers, solicitors, even your bank. They have way too much information. I like to keep everything on a need-to-know basis.
Okay. Well, what did you want to see me about?
You're being watched. Be careful, Dan. Be careful.
All right, so the guy's a little bit paranoid. There's another word for this as well, similar, right? It's schizo.
Schizophrenia is a disease, and a lot of people have it, and it's not too uncommon. But a popular slang word to say someone's crazy is schizo.
So if you guys remember this movie, A Beautiful Mind, it's all about this famous mathematician named John Nash. And, well, he was a genius. He came up with game theory and a lot of subsequent usage of this for economy, for many things. But it was proven that he was schizophrenic, right?
A paranoid schizophrenic. So not only did he kind of have experienced reality in different ways, but he's also paranoid. So he was afraid that the government was trying to kill him, and so he was irrationally afraid of everything going on around him, and it made him very unsafe because he could hurt himself or hurt other people.
And the interesting thing about this is that there is no actual cure for it. You just learn to cope and live with it. So you never really get cured. You just kind of live with it.
Learn how to understand
Yeah.
what's real and what's not.
So it's interesting. It's a great movie also, by the way, if you've never seen it or you get a chance to watch it. And that's all the time we have for today. So if you have any questions, doubts, or comments, please come to our website, englishpot.com.
Yep.
And we're there to answer them.
Yeah, we hope to see you there. And until next time, English Potties.
All right. Bye-bye.